Okay, this is the Washington Street Collaborative Workgroup meeting. I'm calling it to order at 11:11 a.m. Rachel is not here today, so I will be running it. First, we have Alan, Nat, and Malcolm from the work group that are all here. So we'll have to do roll call just because Malcolm's online. Alan?
It is a quorum. I'm sorry.
What? We do a quorum. Yeah. I'm just going to do roll call.
Here, present.
Okay. Nat?
Here.
Malcolm?
Here.
Great. Thank you. Okay. Public comment. I don't see anyone from the public, so we'll move on. There are no minutes today. So Laura and Lena, I'll hand it over to you.
Okay, great. I'm going to share my screen. Everyone seeing that okay?
Yep.
All right.
Come up on our end.
Okay. All right. So, hi, everyone. Nice to see you all. So we're going to go over today, just locate ourselves in the project schedule. We're going to do a design update based on the feedback y'all provided last time. We've been advancing both the illustrative graphics and the technical set. So we'll flip through the illustrations first. We're not going to do a deep dive page flip of the technical SD deliverables. We have just a snapshot to cover what materials are included in those. We will be submitting a draft to the town and the land bank staff, and they will be reviewing it over the first couple of weeks in the new year. So that's happening, but happy to answer any more detailed questions you may have. Then we're going to touch on permitting next steps and just talk about next steps for the project as well. Okay, so a reminder of where you are. We're at the end of schematic design. Again, submitting a draft today, picking up any comments from the staff in the new year, and then we'll be moving into our cost analysis and operations and maintenance manual in the new year, as well as a document that looks at funding opportunities and grants. All right, so I think you've seen the design. We have spent some time refining it, making sure it works technically, and also really illustrating it a little bit more so that hopefully you all can use those graphics as you move on to the next steps. So just a reminder of some of the inspiration that we're drawing. We're thinking about this kind of Nantucket language of the wooden boardwalks, the very kind of simple benches that we see at Easy Street Park as an inspiration. We're moving ahead with that kind of curvilinear language of the boardwalk that was preferred by the group. We're also thinking about opportunities on the inland sites for stormwater capture, kind of in the vein of the Easton Street Rain Garden. And we're also thinking about the dune restoration and amplification as a part of the project. So these are just sort of our mood board of some of the visual inspiration that we were taking in the design. A reminder of the design kind of constraints and parameters that we're working within. So we are on the water side, we're thinking about creating a boardwalk that provides accessible ADA universal access to the beach. We're trying to minimize any structure within the dune resource area. We're thinking about aligning the design today with the opportunity to collaborate with neighbors and kind of expand the design in the future. We're also working closely with Woods Whole Group on recommendations for the best practice for the creation of this dune. And you'll see that in a section drawing a little bit later, but we're really basing the design off of those so that the dune will do its job and withstand any storm and wave action as much as possible. We're trying to stay out, or we are staying outside of the mean high water line for permitting considerations. On the southern part of the site, we are maintaining that 20-foot clearance for the kayak concession, which will continue to operate. We're preserving the restroom building. we're creating an accessible or a crossing to access the Saltmarsh Center. And then on the inland side, we're really trying to maximize the stormwater that we can hold in these rain gardens, both at the 1 Meter Street, at the corner Francis Street parcel, and within the Saltmarsh Center parking lot. So those are kind of the design parameters we're working within. And then this is just a full illustration of the design where it stands. So I think we talked about some optionality with you all last time, and this is really meant to represent the way that that has landed on the ground. So you see the ramp coming up to that upper boardwalk that sits on top of the restored dune. There's a small get down, and you'll see these illustrated maybe a little bit more clearly in the visuals, the renderings that come after, but a small kind of stair get down that will allow people to both sit, look at the beach, look at the boats, look at the downtown skyline. And then there's a ramp that will allow you to get down to the beach accessibly. We have the 2 crossings and then the rain gardens in the inland parcel. And per the previous discussion, we've really kind of optimized those for water storage. Not a lot of, recreation and access happening in, but a little paved viewing area that allows people sort of refuge along the busy Francis Street, Washington intersection, and also an overlook to look at that rain garden. And so we've updated some illustrative views to start to describe what this can feel like. So it's definitely similar to the intent of what you've seen in the previous design, but we're confident now that it's really worked out in terms of technical feasibility and the design of the boardwalk to both be accessible and to work within our design parameters. So you can see the visual looking back towards the Washington Street corridor and the rain gardens. So hopefully, both, fitting in pretty seamlessly and setting a direction for future connections as they become possible. This is a view if you're on top, sitting or standing on top of the boardwalk. So you can see the beach, that dune along the edge, the seating areas. We were talked last time about really wanting to optimize providing a lot of seating. The seating on the stairs looking down, and then you just see the neighboring properties beyond.
Looks lower there. Like it looks like it's been there in that picture.
What'd you say, Nat?
It looks kind of like it's been there in that picture, like sort of lower, a little different feel. It's not as high. I don't know if that's just the way it looks on the rendering, but that's what it looks like if you first look at this.
Yeah. So
You know
it's
what I mean?
the way
It's not like the others.
that it's working out with the grading is that we're trying to reduce or we're trying to optimize the distance between the top of the
Yeah.
amplified dune and the boardwalk so that you don't need a railing that would block your views. So I think maybe you're feeling that
that's good.
it still sits on piles, but it sits close enough to the dune that you're not going to feel like you're floating above it.
Okay, good.
And then one of the requests, this is a new drawing. There was a request to describe what it would look like from that Francis Street, Washington Street intersection. So I think this is helpful for all of us to understand, a question from the neighbors is always about the ongoing views or maintaining, the views to the water. So you get a sense, this is sort of if you were in a car, your eye height. So you still see that water line at the horizon. Of course, you're seeing a lot of the kind of dune vegetation in front of you, but you get a sense here of that stair that goes up and over a landscape wall that would be cladded in wood, referential to the other projects that we've talked about, that would both allow seating along that edge, but also hold back any sand to reduce the amount of sand that's drifting onto Washington Street for, safety and maintenance considerations. And then you can see the ramp coming up on the right side of the image. Because of the slope of that ramp, we do require a railing, but we're trying to make that as minimal as possible and sort of in line with the other land bank and Nantucket projects that we've looked at as references.
Joe, I see your hand up.
Oh, sorry, Joe. I didn't see you.
No, yeah.
What's up?
I was wondering before you said it, what the
Yeah,
perspective was, but just wanted to clarify. So if this was somebody instead of sitting in a car, but rather like walking across that crosswalk, they would have more of a view of the waterfront, right?
that's correct. Your eye height would be a little bit higher, so you'd see a little bit more of that horizon water line as a pedestrian. I think the specific ask in our scope was to visualize it from a car perspective. So that's what this is representing. But yes, I mean, the way that we align or we devised the heights were to sort of optimize the ability to buffer water and intercede in that flood pathway, but to also allow the views to the water that are, part of why people love to be here. So.
And this is not like a big high pickup truck with lifted wheels and suspension.
No,
just
this is like a sedan.
right? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, that's great.
this is not the 18-wheeler for sure. Okay, and then oh, sorry, was there a question?
Laura, I'm just, again, something we didn't talk about before this. So this little thing here, this little wooden, where the dog is and those people are sitting with the baby carriage. This is going to be a sitting spot next to the road thing. Yeah, the little.
So we need
I don't remember this being part of this. So.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe you can see it in this section cut, Nat, a little bit clearer. So this is if you were cutting, perpendicular to the beach. So
yeah.
The recommendation from the team and Woods Hole Group in their modeling and looking at the sand movement was that maintaining a small landscape wall here, this is about 18 inches, so it's seat wall height, and sloping down the dune at the back of that would keep the sand from just blowing onto Washington Street constantly. Obviously, there'll be some of that, but this is going to minimize it. And so the intent was to, instead of just having a wall, to clad that in a seating element so that people could occupy it. Would we in a world where we didn't need to kind of contain this dune, would we put a seat wall the whole length of that? Probably not. But and we could think about the expression of that landscape wall a little bit more, but yeah, so what we have today, and it's worth discussion, is cladding that landscape wall that's holding back the dune in a wooden seating element. So people could, sit on it if they like, but it would be essentially a landscape wall in the edge, at the edge.
My simple question.
Sure.
Outside of all that is the little spot where the front of the trucks turn that we talked about meetings ago. That came from. I know exactly how that happened. Thank you.
Yeah.
That is this like right next to it, or is it back a few feet towards the harbor? Because I can't looking at that.
Our understanding from the prior discussions was that here, let me see if I can illustrate this in plan. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So the area that you're talking about, Nat, where there was that kind of asphalt extension for
all that dotted line thing. Yeah.
That was here. We
Yeah,
understood that with the renovation of this turning radius, that was no longer necessary, and it is necessary to provide a pedestrian connection.
Absolutely. No. Yes, that's correct. So
you're asking where the wall is.
Yeah. I mean, I think.
Oh, I understand.
I think the wall can be like literally right at the edge, but I think it might need to be.
Yes. Let me see if I can.
I don't know.
Are you worried about this guy or only that guy?
No, neither.
I'm marking this up to try to explain it. So the edge, more or less that little apron.
Let's say one of those vehicles is a big truck.
I'm thinking of, so what she just said is true. This was put in way before we finally got this done after 75 years of waiting. 75 years of waiting for this. So now this wall here is the sitting wall, correct?
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah. So this is pedestrian and bike now and kind of just almost a resting pause area because of what has happened with this since this has been done. This crosswalk is like a mile to walk. It's a long walk to get from here to here and a lot going on. They're walking like this now, which is good. I mean, theoretically, right? Because there's no sidewalk over here. I'm just thinking about people sitting here, Yeah, I think it can work, Laura. I mean, I'm thinking about it while I'm talking. I think this
Sure.
will be okay. The vehicles are not driving over here anymore. They're not. The longest trailer does not need to touch this. But I'm thinking of people's safety and like kind of like apprehension to just like hang out there and have an ice cream. You know what I mean? Like this is a sort of a resting spot for people that are kind of figuring out what's going on, you know? But this is just how this is materialized. You got to picture this when it wasn't done. It was completely different. You know what I mean?
Are you worried that people sitting on that little sort of faux bench on the street are a little vulnerable?
A little bit. And I'm worried about kids, parents not paying attention, that stuff. That's all I'm thinking about.
You just ventured to the right of the salt marsh.
This spot is perfect for it. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. I think this can work. I just didn't know. We did not talk about that at all. Yeah.
So can I ask a second question about it?
Sure.
What Matt's talking about.
Yes.
Is that wall also something of a slightly low retaining wall to hold the dune in place as well?
It holds back the sand, yes. Or it's, you know what, Vince, it's not retaining the sand. What it's doing is the sand is sloping down to the base of it so that when the sand blows, it's less likely to blow onto the road. It's holding back that edge. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think if I couldn't quite see what you're pointing at, Nat, but I think just to try to illustrate this. So here's the landscape wall. It is 5 feet back from, I'm drawing this badly, 5 feet back from the edge of the right of way. Okay, I have a wiggly mouse today. And so the area that you've described or that we've seen and you've described, which is that little apron, the asphalt apron, that is kind of goes up to the edge of where that new wall is. So you would still have more or less, the same
that space
boundary.
is still gonna be there.
Your point is well taken that do people really want to sit there? They probably want to go sit up here or here. We need the wall anyway, so we talked about cladding it.
It's better to make it a sitting wall than a wall that's not. Yeah, I get it.
That was our inclination.
We never talked about this particular thing in all these. Don't recall.
Well, I'm going to interrupt for a second because we also talked about this as far as for future roadway elevating and resource areas. It wasn't just for the holding back the dune blown sand, but we did mention it as previously as it would be at an elevation that would be a sitting wall.
Good point. Let me try to show that in the section, and I zoomed in. Now I don't know how to zoom out, so give me a second. Yeah,
it was a while ago. It was when we first brought it up.
Tied up in the bathroom conversation.
The surprise bathroom. Yeah.
I feel like I've never lived here in my life.
I will say it was early on. It was in the very beginning of when we presented it that we talked about it as it could be a sitting wall.
Okay.
So what Todd is talking about, Nat, that I think is another good element of this design is that if the dune kind of came all the way out, if you had to come back and raise the road, you'd then be intervening in a resource area. With this boundary of a wall, you could always build this up and build up the road.
Oh, it's good. I like it. I just didn't. I'm all set now, Laura.
We haven't totally dug into it, so understood. Good to just figure it out. But
kids, exercise.
We have a 30-foot climbing.
So any other, I know it's the first time you're seeing some of these visuals revised. You saw them as sketches, but any other comments? We'll be picking up any tweaks in the new year. We think it works well from a kind of subtle, elegant design, picking up on the swoop, but open to any concerns or thoughts.
Any other concerns or thoughts? No?
Is there a chance people accept this?
I think this rendering here is way better than what we were looking at before. I think it looks more organic now.
It looks simpler.
Yes, it does. It's not.
We did try to simplify.
Yeah, there's not much going. It's beautiful. It's really nice.
As you say, it looks like it's always been there.
That's right.
It looks really
Very
well
natural.
done.
Very natural looking.
That's the goal. Glad to hear.
Feedback?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
I'm just curious if Chuck or Malcolm had any feedback.
Oh, yeah.
They can see this the same as us, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just flip through again.
I love that. That right there is a seller. It's great.
I just had a comment. I know I'm not supposed to really comment or shouldn't comment, but
You're amongst friends.
for those trucks and cars that are taking that left onto Washington Street to head into town,
Yes.
and for the people that are sitting on that little wall we've been talking about,
Yeah.
any allowance or consideration for a couple sort of stanchions there, just for protection's sake? I don't know.
Meaning for it to step back.
Between them and the vehicle.
Just sort of 3-foot high granite.
Oh, like
Like
a bollard or something.
Bollard, yeah.
Need the walking and again, if you take the time, because I'm driving all the time. I put 70 miles a day. It's insanity. It's just my life. But this area is taking on a new natural movement thing. And I think that the town, or whatever we want to say, the town, whatever, will come up with some improvements to keep people from trying to cross. I personally think they shouldn't cross in Francis Street.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as little as possible. That is like walking across the original Tom Nevis intersection. It's a mile. It's a long, long way to walk. Okay. And it's kind of unsafe when you have people not using their left directional to go straight on Washington Street Extension. It's a very weird spot.
Sure.
So I think that future change in the way we have the crosswalks and arrows and stuff will help mitigate what you're talking about. I really do. I think that people are going to end up walking over there more and crossing where we showed by the bathroom thing.
And not trying to navigate that line.
Yeah. That got done sort of on a Saturday afternoon. Like it just happened. You know what I mean? To get that done. Usually. I do like that. It's very good. But again, like the bathroom happened on a Saturday afternoon, like 1960. But anyway, this is what I'm going to say, Laura. I don't want to try to end this because I'm sorry I caused all this.
No, you're
I think we'll take on a new life based on this that we've already begun now. Like it's already there. We just have to kind of fix the next step of the street part for the pedestrians and bikes and all that.
But not just to the point that was just raised, because I
Baby carriages.
You're not like the two folks sitting there on the left side of our screen here. You have no concerns about cars taking a left turn,
no,
or them being scared.
No, because the intersection is so wide now.
Yeah. That they're well.
65-foot truck,
it won't look like
68
they're
has no issue turning it anymore.
Yeah, they don't even have to take over the middle of the intersection. They
No.
can just get right.
It works.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we don't like sell it as a wall that you can sit on, but more of just like a retaining wall, and if people sit there, then that is at their own discretion.
That's right.
We'll get rid of the sitting people, maybe.
Yes.
Remove.
That's it. You know what? She's right. She's right. Just the wall will happen by itself. Just leave it alone. That's
Okay.
good. Yeah.
We didn't know if making it a seating element helped with because I know in the early discussions with neighbors and the community, we heard concerns about any wall in this area. We think we need it from a design standpoint. But I think it could be more of just like, a landscape wall, a wood.
I have a feeling when we were talking about a wall, people think like a wall.
Yeah, they're scared that it's going to be something huge. Yeah.
What do they call this? The rest? They call it rest spots. The term, like I've heard Mike Burns say, refuge. There you go.
Yeah, it's a pedestrian refuge area. Yeah. So, yeah, I hate that crosswalk in the intersection. Like you said, it's a mile long.
Well, and there's not a crosswalk on the other side that's accessible.
Yeah.
So it's,
Yeah,
I mean,
so
sorry, not a sidewalk is what I mean.
Yeah, if you could put, some kind of a shallow raised island, kind of a mountable island where, pedestrians get across that first part of the intersection and they could at least pause there.
Oops.
And then the cars would at least know that, hey, that's not supposed to be the area that,
That was an original plan, Chuck, I think.
Yes, it was.
They're talking about. It couldn't happen fast enough.
It was.
So we're not intervening in the roadway today. I think just trying
No,
to
but he's
avoid-
right about that, Laura. It was something that was
There was
discussed back in the day.
some kind of a island or something here,
It's not that you can't drive over it, but it's more of like
just a
a
refuge.
deterrent thing, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
It
Safe
helps
haven,
channel, it
whatever you
helps
call
to
it.
channel the traffic, but it's also mountable if a
Yeah.
truck needs to make a wide turn, going out of town.
That's a good
Or
point.
going
to
into town for that matter,
put
but,
on the
you know.
victor list. That's a
I
good
think-
idea.
I think those like the sloped areas around the Sparks Avenue rotary and the two intersections
Yep.
that the state did on Pulpus Road,
Yep.
with the Belgian blocks, just to identify the area that
Yep.
you're not supposed to drive on.
Yeah, just like Tom
Excellent.
Nevers, which you brought
Yeah.
up. Yep.
So
Yeah, no, Chuck, that's true. I didn't really think of that stuff. That's
Yeah,
right.
no, we got that out at Tom Nevers. You've got that
Yep.
short, Belgian block.
And it's shortened up so people can scurry across quicker now. That usually are on bikes, but yes.
Yeah. But if somebody's walking yep.
Something we can bring up with Drew, the DPW director, because the road itself isn't part of this project, but that could definitely add a great aspect to it.
yeah, it would make people feel more comfortable for sure. I just wanted to go back to the idea of the bollard or the stanchion. And so I think it's definitely something we could study. I just wanted to point out, this is kind of technical, but we are really constrained. I'm going to try to zoom in a little more. I'm not working for some reason. So we're really constrained. You can see this orange line is the edge of the delineated dune. Okay. This is the right of way. And we have, in order to keep 5 feet clear for ADA accessibility, we are totally hemmed in between those. So in order to put a bollard or something, we would need another foot or two. I think we would have to, if we were going to do that, we'd have to look at an impact to the roadway or an impact to the resource area. It's a good idea from a pedestrian standpoint, but I'm just explaining why it could be a challenge.
Yeah, you're comfortable with there being no physical division.
I think it's
People
fine.
feel safe.
Yeah.
There's room.
Yeah, it's bigger than it looks
Yeah.
now.
It is, yeah.
But I like what Chuck and Charles brought up as far as the other stuff. That was stuff that was brought up before this intersection got done.
Leah, do you
So this is a good thing.
Laura,
think they should ever brush out the sitting person, or you think
Yeah.
people?
I think we should get rid of the person.
We can take out the
Yeah.
person, no problem. Yeah.
Definitely.
another
That-
point. Another
Good.
point there is it's an elevated sidewalk. It's actually got a slope up, and it's gonna
Oh,
be
we're gonna raise that, Todd? That's
Uh,
even better.
Just 6
just
inches.
6 inches. That's it.
Like,
So
but
it's a curb. There's going to be a curb.
So
That's a
if
big difference.
it is a big
That's
difference.
whole
It-
game changer thing there.
it-
I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
because we're raising it to get to the ADA and give that separation between the roadway and the pedestrian walk,
Yeah.
completely for safety. And that was that was something that we had talked about. And I don't know that it's very hard to see the 6
It's a
inches
little-
in this.
Yeah, it's a little hard to
It's
see.
little.
This is another new wrinkle. I didn't know that either. That's even better.
That was
Because
done. That was
truck
done
guys
just
don't
now. That
get
was done.
better.
Yeah, that
We're
was
figuring
done.
out the technical details as
the little things. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like this. No, that change, that's a complete game changer there.
So this is
Having
this
the
is a
curbing
6-inch dimension
With
here.
some kind of rounded,
Yep.
not sharp edge curb.
Yep.
And raising
Yeah,
that.
could be like a rolled curb.
That
Yeah.
will make it feel safer.
Yep.
And it will also, as Chuck, somebody said it about people in cars need to see things. It's weird. I can't explain it. We move the yellow line closer to
I think the approach from the
right.
the approach from the
go.
the approach from the permitting side was to, if we're going to be working within that resource area as you head southeast there,
Yeah, I can go back to the plan.
we're going to be impacting the resource area. We're having to trade off impacts, but we're really pushing it as being a public safety requirement. So by doing that, we wanted to give it a curb so that we're really addressing public safety. And
So you can see this is
good.
the resource area today that comes out, and we would not be able to have a sidewalk if we completely avoided it. So this is the argument that we're making from a permitting standpoint, that that's necessary for safety.
6 inches is quite a bit, but whatever we come up with, if it's 4, 6 is a lot. So I like this now. This has changed my thinking on this a little bit because you've got to have some sort of natural barrier that people see out of their windshield. You know what I mean? That's what this is now. I get it. I think we're good now.
Great.
Sorry, Laura.
No. I think it's good that everybody, understands it because we've gotten into some of these technical things and not been able to talk about all of them yet. So.
Yeah, and I know you're probably coming up, Todd, with the 6 inch because we might raise Washer Street a couple inches, so now it'll be 4. And that's fine too if that's the plan.
I don't think we actually came up with the exact height yet. It was just an approximate, about 6 inches. Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments on the illustrative drawings, or we can move on to just an overview of the technical set that's being submitted later on today?
I think we can move on to the next topic.
Okay, great. So I'm going to hand this over to Lena, and I'm going to try to delete my little scribble here. And Lena can walk us through, and then we also have Hazen on the phone to talk just briefly about the stormwater deliverables, and then Todd and his team will talk about the structural.
Great. Yeah, thanks for kicking us off, Laura. We're
Sure.
just going to go through the drawings, just kind of series by series of what you all can expect by looking at these. So first, we just have a kind of existing conditions and regulations plan. So as Laura mentioned earlier, there's a lot of existing conditions here that we're working with. So we're just highlighting that through this series. So specific conditions or structures that need to be remained, some posts or fences that will no longer be on the site, as well as things that will be protected, like the kayak bathroom building, as well as kind of notating where mean of high water is, where the historic high water is, and that resource area. So that's all that you'll kind of see in these existing conditions and regulations plans. You can flip. Then we'll have the landscape plan, which will just generally kind of show a proposed design with any materials and furnishings. You can see there we have the decking and the benches, stair condition, the landscape wall, and kind of any also just general dimensions that you can see of the walkways and the boardwalk, etc. You can flip. Then we have the grading plan. So this shows the existing contours in the back, as well as what we're proposing. So we have some spot elevations in key areas. We have the contours of the dune, as well as the contours of the boardwalk itself, and along the sidewalk as well. You'll see what's proposed there. Then we have our planting plan. So here you'll just see what we're proposing as far as different coverage for the dune, as well as in the rain gardens. Here you'll have a planting schedule, which includes our quantities, sizing, and species. And yeah, that's it for that.
And I'll just flag, I know Rachel's not in the room today. I know she and her team always have really good input on plant selection that's successful in other projects and so on. So we worked with our arborist who knows, the Cape and the Islands well, but certainly would welcome staff feedback on plant mixes and so on based on your experience.
Then we've also cut some different sections to just show the relationships between the different grades and construction conditions. So I think we have 3 different sections that are cut. You can also see here the different levels and elevations of the mean high water, etc., as well as the resource delineation.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Can you go back a couple of slides there to the list of the plant species?
Sure.
It'll just be one of those things that's helpful for permitting later.
Yes.
The diversity isn't anywhere close to that high, so that when we're getting to the permitting agencies, we'll be able to say things like we're going to seriously increase the diversity with a planting list such as this. It could be an extra selling point to get you those few points to get across the line.
Good point, Vince. And we've been working with recommended sort of native plant mixes for Nantucket. So I think we can highlight not only the biodiversity, but also the native species selection as a as an improvement to the site.
Massive.
Then we have a few detail sheets. You can see here, this is the one with the railings and the boardwalk curbs. So it's just essentially showing you the different details of how things will be built. So we have, I think, we have the rails, the benches, the coir log, things like that.
And these rails are very much inspired. We were looking at the Settlers Landing Land Bank project as an inspiration, just that really simple vernacular. So that's what we've drawn.
Yeah. And then I will pass it over to the Hazen team to kind of go over an overview of the stormwater section.
Settlers Landing, Madikit,
Oh,
just beyond Madikit Marine.
okay.
There's a big rock there.
Okay.
And
Ben or Martin, are you all there?
3 steps down to the
Yeah.
beach.
All right.
So I apologize. Do we have our first sheet or just this one?
Oh,
We just have this one.
We just put in a snapshot of each. Yeah, sorry,
Okay.
Mitch.
No, that's fine. So this is sort of our plan.
Sorry, do you mind
Sheet.
zooming in? It's just really hard
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah, I know. We could also, if there's something you want to pull up, Mitch, that would be better to illustrate it. I know we just want to keep this high level, but if there's something that's a better visual, feel free to share screen.
Well, it may be a little easier to see
Okay, let me stop share.
if I
and
share.
Yeah, you share. Go ahead.
Maybe zoom in a little further here. Does that help any?
It's still loading on. Oh yeah, now we have it. Yep. Thank you.
Okay, so this is our plan view here, which is mostly focused on the grading in the different rain gardens, and how we're connecting to the existing drainage infrastructure with some new pipes and a few new manholes. Roll down a little bit here. As well as where we're proposing new flap gates, and there's a little bit of the plantings as well here. See the trees.
Can you just walk us through, Mitch, just how the system relates to the existing pipes?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So both of these rain gardens function under essentially the same principle, though they are not connected to each other. The Francis and Meter Street outfall. What happens is, I'll use Meter Street as an example. I guess that one's easier. The water level in the pipe during a storm, once it gets surcharged, so the water level is sort of rising up in the manhole, it's above the level of the pipe. At a certain point, it will overflow into this new pipe here and flow out into this rain garden. And then the rain garden can begin to fill, providing some additional storage. And then after the level in the existing drainage system begins to go down, the water can flow back through that same pipe back into the drainage system and out the outfall once the tide level is low enough and the system has the capacity. It works in essentially the same way on Francis Street, but there's 2 pipes here. So it's coming in here at sort of the southeast corner and then comes out the northeast corner. And that's how these 2 connected rain gardens work. And then these other rain gardens around the Saltmar Senior Center are a little different because they're not connected to the existing drainage network, and they're basically just capturing runoff, overland flow directly and just holding it, infiltrating that into the groundwater and keeping it from getting into the system. So
Great. Thanks, Mitch.
I have a question. Just
Yeah, go ahead.
for clarity. So, Mitch, what you're saying is that when the catch basin gets full, then that water moves into the rain garden instead of kind of the opposite. When the rain garden gets full, then it moves to the catch basin.
Correct. The rain gardens will only fill up. So if you imagine there's this like a really small rain event where the drain pipes are not completely full, you should get very little, if any, water in the rain gardens. Just really the water that falls directly into the rain gardens. What if you have a more intense storm where the pipes can't handle that amount of water and it sort of starts, you're getting pretty close to the water coming out of your catch basins, then it gets diverted into these rain gardens. That's the way it was designed, mostly because of limitations in the existing grade and where the elevation of the existing pipes.
You work with gravity, that's
Okay, so it's not. It's
too low.
sounds like it functions different than the Easton Street rain garden. So it's not really, doesn't have those like areas within the crosswalk that allows the water to come directly off the road into the garden. This one functions as everything goes into the catch basin, and then when the catch basin gets full, then that triggers the rain gardens to fill up.
Correct. It doesn't have like a curb cut or a direct connection like that.
Okay. And is there risk of the rain gardens overflowing?
Mitch, I could take that one. The only time the rain gardens would overflow potentially is if there would have been flooding in the street anyway. So a very large enough storm that would have triggered flooding in any scenario.
Okay.
Yeah. So can I just?
Yeah, Nana has a question.
What's the kid's name? Mitchell. Mitchell. Nice conversation. Can I just ask you something? I think I got you figured out what you just said pretty well. Is this all kind of natural gravity, but because of the topography is creating this sort of, we don't have enough height to run the water into this rain garden. So we're sort of letting it trickle in through a way to make the catch basin have an overflow. Is that kind of what you got figured out? Something like that?
That's essentially how this works.
Because this area of the island is way lower than the other areas that we're comparing it to.
If you want to take a little detour here,
yeah,
we can kind of look at the
Chuck.
We can sort of look at one of these profiles, and you can see that the existing drainage infrastructure is quite low, and then we actually can't really go below. We can't go below about 2.7 feet because that's where the groundwater is when it comes to the rain garden. So we need to put the rain gardens higher than the pipes, which requires sort of waiting for the pipes to fill up, and even for the manholes and catch basins to start to fill up before you can send flow over.
We're storing water to naturally move, essentially.
Yeah. So what would have happened in the past, Nat, is when those pipes and the catch basins filled up, it would have just come up into the street. Yeah. Now, when they're full, they go into the rain garden first, and the rain garden holds as much as it can. When the tide recedes and it can drain, it goes back into the pipe.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that Chuck and Charles have figured this out with that view. This is good. I mean, I anything that doesn't require a motor and a pump for the normal storms is better. More mechanical things just make more maintenance, more problems. We're going to be the capital of sewer grinder pumps here in the next 10 years. And there's going to be trucks running around just fixing them, I'm telling you. So we don't need more electric pumps unless it's for like the last resort water. That's different.
Lee, I have a question for you. Is this, I can't tell what's new and what exists. Is this exist or is this proposed?
That's
That's
proposed.
proposed.
Have we talked to Saltmarsh?
We've
Yeah,
been
that's
in contact with them through
They have a
Jericho.
lease.
Well, hopefully,
So
most of the island
it's not
homes
just
get this over
Jericho,
with.
we've also been chatting
Okay.
to
Elders
Kevin,
River.
To be the salt
Kevin
marsh.
Just
Manuel.
want to make sure, yeah, but I just want to make sure, because this, I'm just pointing to, what would you call it? Salt Marsh
Yeah, like the
corner,
bottom left corner of the Salt Marsh
parking lot.
Bob is
little-
asking if that's existing or.
Yeah, so if that's is it taking away parking spaces?
So to
Gonna have
bring,
covers.
to bring it up to code, we have to take away parking spaces. It's not ADA accessible,
To bring what up to code?
the parking lot.
Parking lot,
Are we planning to do that? Regardless of this project or something?
we have to.
Okay. All right, well, we'll talk about it.
It's non-compliant.
Yeah, well, they have a lease, it's just, we will have to work with, if you guys have
Leave
that.
it if we get the.
Yeah, I've been talking to Tracy about it and she sent me like their lease and everything like that. The idea is just to keep the Saltmarsh Center area at 30% design because it's sort of a question mark right now.
Right.
Not putting money towards it until we know
Okay.
like the ultimate use of that area. So yeah, the direction was to bring it up to code and with the minimal like stormwater management best practices.
Yep, that's fine.
So I have a comment on the drainage, and Mitch and Ben, I haven't had a chance to look at those detail sheets of yours. But I'd like to take some discussion offline, just get into the technical aspects, and maybe look at a design structure that was used down in Washington Street Extension at the constructed wetland. It's more of a diversion chamber with a weir in it. I'd just like to run it by you guys. I think it's a really good system and may be able to be used here. The other issue I have is the pipe running from the Meter Street system out to the harbor is a disaster. And you're just showing the connection from the existing, well, you're putting in new catch basin there where the pointer is, and then leaving that pipe to remain. I don't think that's a good idea. There's a structure that's identified. Yes, it's terrible. When the sand gets clogged at the end of the outfall pipe, the flow pops up out of that structure and goes overland. That has to be resolved. And I think that existing pipe is, maybe we can use the section from that structure out to the harbor. And so we won't have to do anything in terms of permitting, but that section between that structure and the road needs to be replaced.
Got it. Okay.
Charles, as I said, we're submitting our draft drawings later today. It'd be great for, you to look at those and then we can set up a meeting to dive deeper into the design of the structure.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, please.
So-
Yeah, I'll work with Charles on that too. So copy me.
Okay, great. Thanks, Chuck.
I think the detail on that other system is really a good idea, and it's a good diversion. It's very clean, and if it wasn't all clogged with sand and phragmites, would work perfectly.
Yeah, sure.
If you
Okay.
could keep
Well, it's good to have a
Leah
good.
and
Go ahead.
If you could keep Leah and I in the loop on that one too, so we can be aware for design and budgeting.
Of course.
Primarily Leah.
Of course. Yeah. We'll share the documents with Leah and you can circulate them to everyone who needs to be involved and just let us know who can join the meeting.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. So that's stormwater. We want to make sure we save time for Todd and the PAR team to talk about the structural considerations and the permitting. So I'll pass it over to you, Todd.
Sure, thank you. Share my screen. So we were share that. Good sharing, yeah.
Yeah, it's sharing, but if you can zoom in, that'd be great.
Yeah, so basically we're taking the line work from Scape, and the framing turned out to be actually quite, I want to say simple, but very uniform and a lot easier than all the curvilinear approach that we had early on. So I think that also helped on the structural side of things. We had to really try to low profile the structure, and we're still, tweaking a couple of things, but for the most part, it's pile supported, very simply pile supported. Couple of extra piles needed on the curvature, but the probably the best thing to illustrate this, to show it, is this right here. Just shows how the split cap that's on the green heart piles, using green heart piles rather than CCA treated, is one of the proposals. It's going to be in part of our alternatives analysis. But the split cap basically gets buried in the proposed dune, and you can see in this section the existing elevation is here, and you can see all the dune sand that's brought in to bring it up to the elevation needed to get to elevation 8. But you can see we're also keeping the stringers very shallow. We're only going 8 inches to minimize the height of this and keep it as low as possible. And earlier we were talking about the landscape wall. This is basically what we're talking about, how it gives us roughly, was it 18 inches, I think, Laura, of catchment from sand being drifted up to it. So over time, this will migrate and, will most likely be level, but gives us the ability to maintain the road and the sidewalk without having to constantly be dealing with drifting sand. You can see longitudinally, this is the section basically along the main boardwalk that's up at elevation. You can see that that picture that Scape really did a nice job showing how it's naturally embedded into the dune. You can see how that works with the structure being so low to the top of dune, and that's pretty much that view is the back. This is the backside of that view that Laura presented earlier, and then this shows our ADA accessible ramp coming up, and basically taking it from grade and coming up and staying in that, needing that railing for the drop off, but getting us up to the top of dune as we get further and closer to the boardwalk and the height of dune. A couple of points, some of the grading needs to be cleaned up, but we have this retaining wall back here, basically to deal with the dune and keep the bathroom accessible, and then this to keep the proposed dune off the abutter's property. And proposed currently, same thing here, being able to work with the neighbor and provide some sort of possible flood deployment up against the structure so that we can deal with the velocities that were talked about in previous applications. The stairs accessing from the sidewalk, as you can see, and then that handicap sidewalk ramp right here. So that was pretty much, it's a nice, relatively straightforward structure now, and we're going to continue developing with some of the additional stair details that we're getting from Scape and everything else. Those will be updated as we get through our finals.
I think what's nice is you can see it in your framing plan. I think what's nice about the evolution of the design is that you still have that kind of curvilinear feel. But I think that creating a straighter back edge is not really that visible from the street, but it really simplified the framing, which I think hopefully is helpful for cost as well.
Yeah, I think that edge all along here made it very simple. And then we only had to deal with one side of being curved, really.
Yeah. Okay.
And this has such a gentle curve to it that it's relatively straight.
Any questions about structure?
One, if you don't mind. I suggest that you talk to Rachel Freeman about what kind of lumber is used. I want to say about 2 or 3 years ago, there was an incident in Madigan where there was, just make sure there's no arsenic in it. That's all I'm trying to get to. There was an incident, and I think Land Bank ended up dealing with it extremely well, but I think they also developed a policy that you might want to ask her about.
Yep, I was aware of that. That was back at
Perfect.
Coastal, I believe. Yep.
Yeah, and
Well aware of
the land bank we used as a starting point some of the boardwalk design we've done for a land bank project at East Creek with Todd and the team. There, they recommended southern yellow pine as the decking, and we had a conversation about the green hard piles. So I think this is all consistent with Rachel's direction.
Mhm.
Super. You've already covered it. You covered it long ago by the sound of it. Excellent.
Yeah, thank you.
Lessons learned, Vince.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
let's not repeat mistakes. Okay. Do you want to talk about permitting?
Yeah, Adrian's driving right now, so
Okay.
it's probably a little bit hard, but she might be able
Okay.
to chime in. She's not gonna have
Be
a video
safe,
on.
Adrian.
Yeah, I know it's wild out here. No, I just
Yeah.
thank you. Thanks, I appreciate it. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of give the update that we're feeling pretty comfortable about permitting now. We're looking forward to pre-application meetings in the new year, and firm permit submission dates forthcoming. It's starting to really come together, and I'm happy to answer any questions anybody has.
Yeah, just to echo that, the memorandum that we're preparing with all the permit requirements, the timelines anticipated, and all that will have, permit schedule and anticipations. And we'll be having some pre-app meetings now that we have this nice schematic design to be able to talk through with some of the agencies and folks to get any initial feedback to finalize our memo.
In terms of going to talk to the permitting agencies, are you preparing talking points on any waivers required?
Yeah, we'll be looking at what areas that we need to either get waivers for, or where we're having to, deal with some of the challenges that we've brought up, that we've kind of steered our design to, some of the impact in the resource areas with the pedestrian safety, the height of the proposed dune being at the bottom of the structure that goes against everything else, but we're raising the structure and basically naturally accreting it. So there's a lot of those types of discussions those are the things we want to bring up and steer the conversations to start with, like this was our thought process and why, and get their feedback, if any, that they have, if that we can make sure that we address and moving forward in the timeline of things.
Understood. Can you give us a very high level overview of any permitting challenges, just so that everyone's on board?
All of them. How's that?
Oh dear.
There are challenges. What we're doing is an extreme benefit. It's a resiliency project. That's what we have to remember, that we're doing is a resiliency project, but now we're adding in the public elements to it and access to it. So when we're going for the 310 CMR, we're having to meet all those standards, right? And those are going to be the challenges when we're going against some of the coastal zone management manuals. And Adrian, you chime in. I know you're driving, so I'm hoping I'm hitting your points for you. But we're going against some of the standard practices that have been used or are typically allowed. We're asking for a broader mindset and policy to what we're trying to accomplish here. And I think that's what we've been talking about from the beginning is that this is all beneficial. It's all great, but it's a requirement that we're going to have to help the regulators understand that this still fits in with the goal and intent of the regulations. Some of them aren't. We're not meeting them all. We're doing as best we can to meet the standards and still provide the public benefits and everything else. So.
And my latest trick is to invite the regulators to Nantucket. They don't want to waste the day, so then they'll be inclined to say yes.
I'd be happy to join you. I mean, by all means. Yeah, just to echo what Todd said, working in the coastal resource area is very challenging, and Coastal Dune and Coastal Beach have pretty specific performance standards, and also, supporting manuals for guidelines as to how permitting agencies have made decisions in the past. So we are going to be in that space very much, in kind of the edges of what's allowable, and we'll be making the case for why we want to do it that way. And without just going into a ton of detail on these special kind of considerations, we did talk a little bit about it at a past meeting. It's things like the size of the structure is significantly larger than what's typically recommended. However, the recommendations in the coastal manual for the size of a boardwalk structure or an over dune structure is typically for something like a single family residential home. It's not a public project, so there's space for us to ask them to make considerations and also for us to be able to respond to the recommendations or the guidelines when they point us at them. So we're ready for it, and we'll just take it from there.
Yeah, just to put a point on that, Adrian, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe the guidance would be for a 4-foot boardwalk. You need at least 5 foot clear to have an ADA accessible pathway. And with the town and land bank's goals around public access,
Right.
we think we have an argument there.
Right. That's exactly right. And so that, just for the group, that's an example of what the permitting process is going to be like for this particular project. It's like, the way that guidelines are written around observing the performance standards are not necessarily for a public project like this, or, a project that has higher aims to kind of serve a broader audience. So we'll be talking a lot about that as we go through the permitting process, and you'll see plenty of documentation around it, I'm sure. Just know, we have the bases covered. We've been embedded with the design team the whole time. So a lot of the things that were non-starters have already been addressed.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I hope you all are, dry over there. It's wild. I pulled over. It's wild here in southeastern Massachusetts right now.
If you see me keep looking over my shoulder, it's to see if this tree is going to crash on my house because the wind is so crazy. Yeah.
Doing what I'm supposed to do.
Okay, so are there any other next steps?
Yeah, I'll just share my screen. We just summarize the next steps. I think we've more or less touched them, but just so you know where we're going in the new year. If I can find the right screen to share. Okay. So as I said, later today, we're submitting our draft. We're going to ask Leah and Rachel to circulate the set to appropriate town staff and land bank staff to review and provide comment. We will be receiving those comments mid-January to give you a couple weeks after the holiday to digest all of this. We will then we have about a week to update our schematic set and resubmit it. We're also working with the team to develop just outline specifications so you get a sense of the specifications that will need to be developed in more detail in construction documentation. We, SCAPE, are working on the funding memo, a basis of design that really just articulates a lot of the, the kind of constraints diagram that we had about all the different parameters we're following and meeting within the design that will articulate that. So you have that in hand to be useful, I think, for future, grant language and also just to understand the rationale. Hazen and PAR will be working on a cost estimate once the final SDE documents are submitted. And then we're working with IEC. They've already gotten started, but they're doing a benefit cost analysis that will be required for certain funding sources in the future, should you pursue them, and as well as an operations and maintenance manual. And I'll flag that I think as we dive deeper into the operations and maintenance considerations, I think we need to talk further with land bank and town staff about how operations and maintenance will be shared and sort of have a workshop on how this gets laid out. So those are to come in January. But we were feeling we're in a good place to advance all of these with the design that we have.
Great.
That's all I have.
One question, I don't have the scope in front of me. For the cost estimate, is that a construction cost estimate or from where we're leaving off that 30% design to full design, bid ready documents, and then construction?
It is a cost estimate for the 30% documents.
For construct, it's an opinion of probable construction cost.
Thank you, Tom.
And it will include engineering fees, percentages, those types of things. We won't be actually submitting fee schedules for it, but more the way I understood it was we were going to be doing percentages to finish out at this point.
So we have a standard percentage we would hold to estimate design and engineering soft costs.
Okay.
Should you want a proposal for the next stages of design, we're here for it, but you have to decide the right timing for that. Yeah.
Should we have a conversation with the town manager to try and lay the groundwork for a big number, or is it going to be okay?
This needs to be.
Let's get started and we'll get back to you. It depends what you think a big number is.
Well, do I need to do work on the side first is all I'm trying to get to. I guess the answer is obviously yes. That's okay.
Yeah, no, I from a structural standpoint on the boardwalk, I really haven't even thought about it yet. I could give
we'll
you
get a little further and
we'll
let's have that conversation, Vince, so you can be
year.
ahead of any concerns. Yeah.
Super.
Forever materials possible. Things that don't have to be replaced.
Alrighty. So the next meeting is January 9th of the new year.
Actually, Leah, I wanted to talk to you about that. Given that you've just seen our update and you're going to be in a review period, we don't have a lot new to share on the 9th.
Okay.
If there's anything you want to touch base on, we're happy to, but at that point it might be more important to be coordinating with staff around beginning some of the maintenance.
Agreed.
Yep. Okay, so we're going to cancel the 9th.
And you've got like a hand, everybody on the screen has a list of stuff jotted down from this meeting, like the wall stuff, the drainage, especially this drainage thing.
Yeah.
We have meeting notes that we will circulate.
It's important to get that fixed so we don't have any questions come up that make it look like no one's doing their homework. You know what I mean? I'm worried about this I want this to be the most positive thing we've ever done with working with the land bank. We've never done that. And we need to do this more. And this is good for the negativity factor of Nantucket to not affect this. It's just, I'm thinking about bidding. I'm thinking about how can we save money because the land bank's involved. There's all kinds of ways to make this positive. And the connectivity part, future, moving down, whatever. Like that's important. We just have to figure out how to not to, raise a stir for nothing. This is fantastic. We just have to figure out how to make that continue. So anyway, thank you very much, everybody. Do we need to?
All right, so I need a motion to adjourn.
So second.
All right, roll call.
Aye.
Alan, Nat.
Aye.
Malcolm. Aye. Great. All right.
Thank you. Have a wonderful holiday, everyone.
Take care.
Happy holidays.
See you next year.
Thanks, everyone. Happy holidays.
Bye.
Bye.